Hi everyone and welcome to Flipping Heck Business, Flip Learning for AQA A-Level Business Studies. So this is for unit number 6, which is decision making to improve HR performance, and we're looking at video number 5. So video number 5 is on the main theories of employee motivation. So we're going to be looking at Taylor, Maslow, Herzberg, and then also kind of looking at what employee engagement is as well. Now, these are the three main motivational theorists that you need to know, but there are more out there. So once again, if you're looking at your 25 mark questions, these are all the things that lead to it. So we've got labour productivity, staff retention and labour turnover, customer service, recruitment and training, job design, organisational structure, all have something to do with motivation. So when we're talking about motivation, you need to sort of really have a grasp of what motivation is. Now, in its simplest sense, motivation is a will to work. So in other words, are you actually going to do your job? Now, that could be that you're doing it at a very basic level, or it could be that you're actually pushing yourself further. Now, usually it comes from enjoyment of work itself or a desire to achieve certain goals. So it could be money orientated or it could be promotion orientated. Methods to motivate employees can usually be categorized as two different ways, either financial methods or non-financial methods. So financial, we're looking at your salary, your bonus, anything to do with money. Non-financial might be anything to do with your sort of inner well-being. So we've got three classic theorists of motivation. Now, when you go off to university, you will be looking at a few of these. As you can see from the photos, these are a little bit old, and while we are learning it for the actual exams, please sort of remember that when you actually go out into business, then a lot of these have been updated. So first of all, we've got Taylor with scientific management. He is the oldest out of us. We've got Maslow with his hierarchy of needs, definitely something you'll look at university. And then we've got Herzberg with two-factor theory, which is motivators, hygiene, or maintenance factors. So starting off with Taylor's first. Basically, Taylor's theory of motivation is that managers should maintain close control and supervision over all employees. This is very much like a autocratic management style where the managers make all of the decisions. And it links with Theory X from McGregor, approaches to workers. So they believe that they are lazy and they are only motivated by money. And then motivate workers using piece rate payment. So in other words, pay based on how much they actually produce. So Taylor basically, he's the oldest out of everyone. I mean, he was around in the 1800s, died around 1917. So he was very much a part of the Industrial Revolution, where a lot of factories were running, and it was before really sort of the health and safety regulations were starting to come into effect. Now, in his sort of theory or in his approach, he sort of came up with this work study. So you identify the most efficient methods of production. So forget the people at the start. You actually come up with what is the best way of actually producing the items that you are. So don't forget, this was very much in a heavily industrialized time. Then you identify. So you spot the most efficient workers and see why they are so good. So you get the best of the best and then see, okay, well, what are you doing that's different to everyone else? Can anyone else match you? And then you train the remaining workers so that they are working at the same speed or better, or they are at least coming quite close to those best workers, which obviously will increase your productivity. And then finally you reward. So you pay the workers based on their productivity, so piece rates. So for every 20 items that you make, you would get X amount of money. Now, like I said, sort of Taylor in the modern world doesn't really exist. We are actually getting a lot more piece rate approaches coming through, but are they that popular? I mean, in sort of today's sort of working place, then you find that a lot of people aren't really happy with this. People should be paid for their work, and then if they produce anything extra, great. But that's not always the way that it is. Now, Amazon actually had this, where they were the workers were actually getting paid more for producing more. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that if you aren't in or you're feeling ill that day, you're not going to be able to produce the same amount, which is great for the company, but isn't necessarily great for the workers. Next, we have Maslow's theory of motivation. Now, Maslow looks at like the human needs, and he's kind of got like 5 levels that need to be fulfilled in order for you to be fully motivated at work. Only once like a lower level has been fulfilled would then the worker be able to be motivated by the opportunity of having the next needs met if the hierarchy is satisfied. And then the business should therefore offer different incentives to workers in order to help them fulfill each need in turn and progress up the hierarchy. So you can see here that we start down at the bottom with your psychological needs, your basic needs. So these are things like food, shelter. It's just sort of, having water available, having a little bit of warmth where you're working. Now, once you've met all of those requirements at the bottom, then you would look towards your safety. So this is your safe working environment. Is there health and safety put into place? Is there good, solid job security? And again, once all that need has been satisfied, then you'd move on to social. So, you've got a secure job, you've got your basic needs, and now what do you want? Well, you want to feel part of a team. You want to feel wanted. You want you to be a part of something bigger. Now, once you're feeling that, then you might move on to esteem, where you get your self-respect. You require your level of status. You know where you are in the pecking order, and you know how you can progress further, which is where you get self-actualization. So your intellectual needs are being fulfilled. Are you being given challenging targets that you can then hit? Are you fulfilling your full potential as well? And this is where Maslow sort of comes into it. He sort of said, right, well, you need to have all of this. You can't just jump to having everything fulfilled if your basic needs aren't being met. If your safe working environment isn't being met, you'll never be fully motivated. Next, we've got Herzberg's theory of motivation. Now, Herzberg was actually using a 2-factor theory where we've got motivators, which are factors that directly motivate people to work harder. So in other words, are you actually going to be able to give them recognition of good work? Have they got opportunities for promotion? Have they got responsibility? Are they going to see something in the future that they want to work towards, and how are they going to get there? And then you've got hygiene factors. Now, these are not factors that are demotivating. They're only factors that are demotivating if they are not present, but they don't actually motivate employees to work harder. So things like pay. Well, you're going to get paid anyway. So is it going to actually motivate you to work harder if you're going to get the same pay over and over? Well, no. But if it was removed, would it demotivate you? Well, yes, it would, because then you wouldn't have money to actually pay your bills or to go out. And therefore, it is a demotivating factor, but it's not something that's going to increase your motivation. So it motivates by using the motivators, and then just ensures that hygiene factors are met. So you can't have motivation without all those hygiene factors covered. And it uses job enrichment and empowerment. So in other words, delegating more power to employees to make their own decisions to actually help it produce this. And here you can see that the 2-factor theory. So motivators, things like responsibility at work, meaningful and fulfilling work, achievement and recognition are all things that will push you a little bit harder to produce more. And then hygiene factors are things like pay or other financial rewards, working conditions, appropriate supervision and policies. Well, again, if you've got appropriate supervision and policies there, is that going to make you work harder? No. But if it is removed or it's non-existent, then you're probably not going to work to your full potential. So next we're looking at employee engagement. So there are 3 elements to it. So what we're looking at is intellectual engagement. So thinking about the job and how to do it better. Effective engagement, which is feeling positive about doing a good job. And then social engagement. So it takes opportunities to share work-related issues with others at work. So you've got intellectual, thinking about it. Effective, so feeling positive. And then social is how you interact with others around you. So Employee engagement versus motivation. Now, employee engagement isn't necessarily going to be incredibly motivating, but it is looking at things like employees positive about your own work. They think hard about how they can improve it, and then they engage well with fellow employees. Now, that could be motivating for some people, but when we're thinking motivation, we're actually thinking, right, well, have you got a will to work? Are you wanting to go into work? You might engage, but are you enjoying it? And then due to work incentives and or satisfaction from work itself. So, are you being actually pushed by your management? Engaging with fellow workers is nothing to do with like your manager doing anything for you. It's all about what you do for yourself. Right, okay, nice short one. So thanks very much for watching. Make sure you give a thumbs up and subscribe to Flipping Heck Business. Make sure to leave any constructive criticism below in the comments. And then video number 6 will follow very shortly.